One of the best sci-fi films to come out in the last 20 years is not Star Wars, it's not Star Trek, it's not even Blade Runner 2049, which, by the way, was fantastic. It's a movie called District 9. District 9 came out in 2009, and it really launched Neil Blomkamp as a name that you want to pay attention to. The movie is told mostly like a documentary, which I thought was a brilliant approach because it made this movie feel like a real event. It doesn't feel like I'm watching a sci-fi movie, it feels like I'm watching a Discovery Channel or a CNN special. And that is a brilliant way of telling the story because it just makes you feel all the more immersed. District 9 follows a man named Wickus who works for a weapons manufacturer called MNU. They have been tasked with ordering the eviction of the aliens known as prawns from their slums in District 9 to a new location called District 10. One thing I think is brilliant about this movie is the way it very subtly addresses racism. The way the prawns are treated in this movie is quite cruel. They are taken advantage of and they are used for the betterment of mankind. Their love for cat food is used to control and manipulate them. I saw this as a metaphor for addiction and just the control that some of these drug companies have over their patients. It is a very similar comparison, to be honest. If you look at the cost of insulin, okay, a diabetic, they need those meds. There is no negotiating whether or not they're going to take the med. So they have to pay whatever price these obnoxious people are putting in place. And that is exactly what happens in this movie, how the humans are treating the prawns. The way that the prawns were being treated led to hostility between the humans and the aliens. Some think that the people they are taking advantage of are too stupid to realize that they are the butt of the joke. But many times they are just playing the role you expect while secretly plotting and building a hatred that is just bound to explode. It happens all the time. People get bullied until they've reached their breaking point and then they finally crack. What's quite clear throughout this movie is that even the main character, Wickus, is not necessarily a good person. In fact, during the scenes when he's ordering the evictions, he speaks in a very condescending manner. He narrates his actions and he comments on the prawn's behavior with an arrogance that may or may not really be who he is. Given the way Wickus comes off, he's a very insecure nerd. It's quite possible that he is actually a good person, but he's just trying to fit in with the people who have amassed power so that he can stop feeling like he's at the bottom. Is that an acceptable excuse to treat people like shit? Absolutely not. But he's a human, and that is what we do to each other. Visually, this movie still holds up insanely well. The graphics in this movie are fantastic, and the soundtrack is a mix of epic with hints of African influence that I love. As I was listening to this movie's soundtrack, I was taken back to the way I felt when the credits first rolled the first time I saw this movie. I sat there in silence feeling sad. I felt down. I felt like I had just witnessed something extremely profound. It got me thinking, and it made me want to make the world a better place. I think our biggest arrogance as humans is that we think we are the superior beings on this planet. I would say we are not. I'm not speaking of all humans, of course, but an unfortunate amount. Hell, even if only 10% of the world acts like this, that's still way too many people with this mentality and this attitude. District 9's message, in my opinion, is that we need to change. We need to show compassion to all on this planet, to the animals, to the planet, but most importantly, to each other. Wow, that is some deep stuff. And who would have thought that a sci-fi movie would be provoking such a conversation? I loved this movie. It really made me want to watch Neil Blomkamp's career with great interest. Unfortunately, since then, his movies have just been okay. Nowhere near the level of District 9. But you can tell with almost all of his movies that he is painting a picture of humanity, and it's not a very good one. Elysium, Chappie, even the new Gran Turismo movie, these movies are telling the story about human greed. Especially Elysium. I didn't really like that movie, but the concept made a lot of sense. We need to stop taking advantage of each other. We need to realize that we are all on the same side, and if we don't, we are not going to make it. Could be in 100 years, could be in 1,000, but you cannot have a planet of hate, war, racism, caste, prejudice, and expect to thrive. It's just not going to work. Eventually, it's going to all come crashing down. Anyway, I did not mean to get so heavy with this movie review. It's just this movie really stirs a lot of feelings in me, and I wanted to talk about those feelings because that's the whole reason I made this YouTube, is so that I can talk to you guys, and you guys can talk back. As a matter of fact, I want to hear some of your guys' comments on this movie. Tell me, do you agree with my take on this movie, or do you think I am reading into it a bit too much? Let me know. For me, this movie is a 10. I think it's a masterpiece. It still holds up so well, and if you haven't seen it, I really hope you do give this movie a try. It has such a story to tell. It's very moving, and I feel like this movie's message is more relevant now than it was even in 2009 when it came out. This is a profound movie. I think everyone should watch this movie, and it happens to be a sci-fi. Some really awesome mechs, some really cool sound. It's just an all-around good time. That's my thoughts on this. Please, like I said, put your thoughts in the comments. Let me know. Did you like this video? If you did, please hit the like button. And if you want to hear more things from me, of course you should subscribe to this channel. Later.